Hey, morning. How you doing, Oga? Well done. When you now come to areas like legal, somebody that has so they'll be looking for the checking where the data are so that they can have an exception. You now take groups and kind of covering the treasury. And that's actually where I can use text here, but that's actually where you should be. So we take our heavyweights and move them to where they control it, and take lightweights to where 70% of banking as you go into this journey and as you go into the part of the things you should consider is where are the pain points and the people that we are living in these institutions. It's very important for us as a country. So the year 2020 saw global plunge into unprecedented health crisis. The likes which could not have been anticipated by global institutions, world governments, health governments, environment, security agencies, or even scientific or technology agencies. When I was actually coming, and I told my guys, I said, okay, it's on the street, people to see. I recall attending one event not long ago where the best presenter came with his laptop, and of course, there was a power problem and laptop failed. I said, that's good. I didn't have audit background. We should have spent my spare to the spare to the other spare. So I have my paper, I have my laptop, and I also have my So none can fail. Or if they do, there must be one. Well, that's actually how the scientists, that the reason why I'm mentioning this is that as we go into the future, part of the things we should be looking at is an auditor to say, what are those levers that can go wrong? What are the things that will happen? So that it's not like we don't become like an electoral body to say, okay, we are, every election is a learning opportunity. When are you going to finish learning? So you finish this one, you make a mistake. The next one is going to start a learning too. So we need to get to that level. Almost in one first swoop, things that elsewhere were deemed impossible, difficult, or challenging became the order of the day. With the lockdowns instituted from one country to the other, where people could not go about their daily lives, let alone carry out their regular business. The lockdowns bringing about stay-at-home orders, permissions for only key business to operate, sanitization protection measures, international travel bans, and the impact of these on personal relations and the business operations led people to find alternate lives and business. But it hit us. Now, and please, we need to make sure that we make this. I usually don't like to give papers early so that people don't come and be reading papers. I want them to be able to listen to it, becomes a conversation. So after this, we'll make the paper available if it's not already done. And there's an area called working with technology and working through technology. It's actually very important that they say, what does this mean? Resulting adaptations and innovations that occurred in 2020 led to the execution of high volume of internet-based and technology-driven activities and operations, including the golden work from home style of business operations that continued into 2021. As a high number of people across the globe came to terms with the remote operations, the digital presence of individuals and businesses grew astronomically. From daily communications on social media platforms to official meetings on Zoom, Teams, and other virtual meeting platforms, to e-payments via online banking and mobile application, to cloud computing and storage, to remote management and reviews of numerous tasks and operations using video streaming. Some of you would have realized that during as a small window was open, all the bank branches were full. A lot of the people started having canopies also outside because loads of people that were not used to carrying cards and they used to use it. And they now suddenly realize that old people could actually use a lot of people that say, oh, no, I'm not going to impute, they steal my money. They were always the first by 5 a.m. in front of the banks. To what were they doing? They were trying to get their cards. Every bank's platform and internet usage went up because lots of people are now using mobile banking and, of course, anticipated benefits associated with that. But at the back of that also lies some risks. And by the time I also land or something, it's also important that as a body, we should also start being truthful to each other. We do know that a lot of times when people come and say, okay, something happened to my brand, before you let it show, it will be on one social media or the other. So banks are also careful what to say and what to discuss. So you end up having proper conversation as a bilateral conversation between two, not as a body. But the implication of that is that the fraudsters hit one group, knowing fully well that we have Chinese wall, they hit another one, the same side, they hit another. Before you know, they hit almost 1/3 of the institution before people realize what's going on, because people don't want to talk. Because as soon as you talk, and then the regulators will use it as a, when they're making their quarterly speech or something of how what has happened, it becomes a statistic. And you don't want to need to be mentioned in the statistic or something. And everybody now becomes careful. So again, in your meetings and your session, it's something you should need to look at as you go into this journey. So with these new ways of thinking, with technology, through technology, became the order of the day. And now, in 2022, we are living in a normal, what we usually call now hybridization, a margin of the innovations, learnings, and realizations brought about by the pandemic, the old ways of physical in-person operation, which continues to evolve. So We are now looking at digitization in banking industry and the new players. I'm sure a lot of consideration of digitization in our daily lives and by extension in our business operation. As financial institutions, the emergence of fintech companies is not new. It's not at all. We now have banks either acquiring fintechs acquiring banking licenses, and banks creating fintech apps. We have now moved forward to telecoms entities providing banking services to their customers. MTN and Airtel have been granted payment PSP licenses by CBN, where deposit takings, cross-border payments, e-wallet operations, and debit and prepaid cards can be offered to customers. MTN Momo Payments Service Bank Limited formally commenced operations in May 2022 with agent network of over 166,000 active accounts. Now, it's important to note this: 166,000. If you look at a bank that is 50 years old, 100 years old, which some of your banks will be, you ask yourself, if you have 166,000 active, not the active, and each of them does 10 transactions a day, it gives you an idea that what happens. You ask yourself, across your branches, not debit and credit, the unique transactions that happen across your branches, how many do you get in a day? With your infrastructure, with your layers, with your F5 controls, with all the things that you all check through, with bullion van, security police all over the place, mobile across everywhere. Count and see what are the how many. So you can see how important it is that this actually does work. You can look at the value of the transaction, that is the volume, and that's actually what goes into the level of activities that actually drive an economy. So the foregoing mean growth in customer base, transactions, revenue. Some of you would know that as a few years ago, the total number of banking customers were about 50 or 60 million out of the 200 million Nigerians. Because people are having, so, but the number of people that have phones was about 80 something million at that same time. So there were more people that have phone numbers, unique, than people that had account numbers. But what is beginning to happen now, there's a complete shift. And since we had that exercise, well, I call it an exercise, this COVID era, you're beginning to see more people that ordinarily would be nearing banking institutions. But with that comes with its associated risk. So the new normal demands evaluation of the opportunities presented by the changed or hybrid operations in each specific organization using methods that match the development. This implies that relying on or requiring a physical proximity or central or fixed location or base for deliberation, review, assessment, or reporting on activities needs to change at the digital space where most of the new transactions will be limited to physical or singular unique locations. Things have actually evolved. So there are changing customers in this digital era. So digitization has brought a whole new approach to how people live their daily lives and conduct their business. The future is coming. Some would argue that it's already here. Let's project a little bit into the future. I'll just draw some inference. Millennials, Gen Y, that's Generation Y, generally those aged between 26 and 41. That's born between 1981 and 1996. They are working age, and we are already today. Gen Z is a popular young group. Generally those that are aged between 10 and 25, born 97 to 2012. These are working age and soon to be, these are working age and soon to be working age. Some of them are already working, and some are already in working age. So today's Gen Z, these guys that are born, those that are between 10 to 25 years old, millennials, and this group who have grown up or are growing up playing with their parents' mobile phones at the age, At the age when the older ones, that's the people that were 26 to 41, played physical cards. I'm sure some of you will still remember, or board games. Some of I still remember the Monopoly and the rest. I brought one to the house. It has been in that carton since we bought it some years ago. So I was wondering who did I buy it from, but it is what it is. So they, I mean, and just as I've done mentioned, so these are who are attending coding classes during summer. I still remember some of those holidays at the age when Gen Y were meeting on chat rooms on the internet and who play video games with people half a world away, whom they will never meet at the age when Gen Y was going to their friends' houses to play video games. In fact, I'll just I took my daughter just once to say, oh, I need to meet with some friends. So what for this? So I took her. So when I came back to them, they were all sitting together with their phones. So I looked. I said, where are your friends? He said, oh, let's see them. I said, so I drove and paid this much for you people to come here and be playing with your phones. That was the last time I'm going to decide that you come put your phones. If you do, you guys don't want to meet. You say you do not want to meet because you're already on phone all the time. So why would I spend my money, bring you together, and all you're still doing is play with phone? And they didn't say anything wrong. I was the one that was wrong. They obviously would have known that this guy, he doesn't get it. And they usually say, he's not getting it. So now, the question we should be asking ourselves is that can we take a moment to envision a world run by such digitally sensitized people, as we do as in our role? Because these are the people that are going to become your set of employees. When you're hiring the top graduates or people that go to the work, that's what's matter. You have heard that. Like we had some guy one day in our CISO world. He came and he asked, oh, no, so how are you? I said, fine. I said, so you've been here for about a week. So what would you like to see? He said, when are we all going to be working from home? Wow. So that I can do everything I do in the office, I can do it from. I said, correct. I said, you're very, very correct. I'm also hoping that you correct your salary from home. Okay. So, evolving risks in the digital era. Okay. As our business adapts to bring service closer, faster and more conveniently to current prospects and future clients, the attendant risks and controls required to manage such risks cannot be overstated. Just as banking evolved from having your bank account accessible from a specific branch of a specific bank located at a specific location to where we now have borderless banking accessible from an app in a phone in your pocket, the risks have evolved from guarding the bank branch, which I mentioned earlier, to guarding the internet connection point, cloud storage, and intranet connections of that. All words and concepts that could have been strange as recently as 40 years ago. This would, if someone had mentioned this about 40 years ago, would have said, no, it's not possible. But this cannot happen. It will happen in our lifetime. But these are the things that currently and need to happen. Therefore, means that what we control and how we control is to change. It therefore means that we start looking at millennials inside both control and audit goals. Because if we use the way some of us started our own goal, and you want to use that to control, some of you remember when the mobile phone became a new thing. If you want to even put your emails or something, you call IT. Is that not what you all did? These people just because you want IT to cross the became. Now, IT comes to learn from our children that are not IT. Because as soon as they pick your phone, just give them seconds. They are just, don't bundle it for you. They'll just tell you what you don't even know. Unfortunately, all of us spend a lot of time buying expensive phones. And what do we use? WhatsApp, text message, and phone calls, which actually controls about 30% of the cost of what we paid for. These guys use a cheaper phone and they use a whole line of what the phone was. And when they dimension this for us, you understand how serious this is. So the enormity that digitization brings, remote account opening process, use of robots by tech-savvy individuals, groups and entities to simplify processes or impersonate actual humans, single individuals creating multiple accounts, either or by their own making or by impersonating existing individuals, is an avenue for revenue leakage and reputational damage for banks. Auditors need to think aloud such lines in the execution of their roles. I remember one of the last jobs I did robotics for financial institutions, where we used create a robot to do reconciliation of ATMs. We used to have people they call, I don't know some access, so but if you are still on that category, just know you need to upgrade, so nothing bad. We used to have people they call ATM custodians. What do they do? They go to machine, every morning, they will count, they will check. There's one slip they will generate to know what was the balance of the cash, and they will be looking very busy. So you look at this, say, oh, you know, we have to do ATM reconciliation. And people were thinking that they are doing something very important. We had them across every, and sometimes we want to have the client that have more than 3, 4, 5, 8 steps. They will hire one custodian. And he's was a very important person. I'm sure that's the mistake, absolutely. So one day I did the robotics across. So by early morning, you click a button, the system does auto reconciliation, it generates reports to each branch, and then also for the particular bank, if there's any reversal that needs to happen, it generates entries and passes the entry for you. So in 1 week, we told them to go and look for something else. We suddenly realized that the number of them had no other skill other than what that's they have done, because they moved from maybe teller to this to get to that stage. So the only thing else to do, I had to go back. It became a problem for them to just upskill themselves. And I had a big problem of what to do in that generation. So one of the things that seemed to be happening is that what was the risk that we had to introduce, even with that level? But what then happened was that issue of customers calling, because we had contact center people saying they need more people, because every time half of their calls is that dispense error have not been credited, and then costs were dropping, and because costs were dropping, they will harass the bosses to increase the number of contact center people. As you increase the number of contact center people, you increase the number of cases, you increase the number of toilet rolls, so you don't know where your problem was coming from. At one point I said, stop this crap. Where is this problem from? The major thing is that what are people calling for? Address it there. Then the number of contact center people reduces. The number of people you need to drive in the night to go and take home because of it just crashed. And the number of people and that's the kind of things one will say, as we go into a digital phase, people should do less of what they're used to. It's not a very common, it's not a very nice thing to say. Do less of what you're used to. Do more of the things you know that can address the future. Because my topic today is actually about the future of internal audit. So, evolution of regulatory requirements. We cannot overlook the regulatory angle of increased digitization. Regulatory frameworks will, by necessity, continue to evolve in order to put checks in place around the operation and reporting of new technology adopted by banks. From the use of bankers' checks to the use of money transfer forms, from the use of ATMs to the use of internet banking and POS machines, from the use of USSD, this unstructured supplementary service data, codes and mobile phone and mobile money apps, to the use of QR, that's quick response codes, regulations have evolved to protect customers and banks from exploitation, abuse, and misuse. Data privacy laws, information assets of customers, and internal policies of access to storage and security over customer and bank property data information are areas auditors need to monitor with increasing importance as the world moves forward in the digital space. With open banking today and its use in terms of application programming interfaces, that's API, this is a key area that cannot be avoided. Accept that people are talking to her, or if you don't accept, it is that cryptocurrency exists. The question now is, what should we do to ensure that it's done in a manner that does not hurt the economy, that does not hurt the financial system, which is actually what we all around this and future innovations need to be covered by audit teams. Processes, controls, and regulations around the recognition, reporting, safeguarding, and management of cryptocurrency accounts, account holder information, transactions, and all possible money laundering and the financing of terrorism risks that such innovation can bring are areas auditors must watch out for. Please, we must watch out for this. The Central Bank of Nigeria issued a circular to all deposit money banks and payment service providers in February 2021 on its regulatory framework for open banking in Nigeria. Separate regulatory guidelines on the e-Naira was issued in October to provide few examples of new regulations coming up in the digital age. Auditors must know how the e-Naira works. Auditors are not consultants. They are not people that come to write memos or bring people to this marriage committee. That's not. The job has moved a little bit much. They are now in the decision-making arms of institutions because things have actually moved from what we're used to a new era. So you cannot therefore have a, you know, those days, if you want to punish your child, say, go to your room. Try it again. Go to your room and leave the lab. Leave that God for that punishment. When we're nowadays, say, when are you to solve this? Okay, you will not play football again today. Go to your room. That's the highest level of punishment. Go and try it now. Leave the guy with the phone. He will even be happy you don't come and knock. So the controls you did for us and controls you do for the current generation and the kind of things that happen to you cannot be the same. You can't use that technique we used many years ago today because things have actually changed. Things have moved digital. Things have gone into this space. Before you say Jack, damage has actually been done. A lot has actually been done. And we do know that. So it's actually important for us to start asking ourselves, what are the things that are changed? How do I, as auditors, be part of that? Should I wait and then do my quarterly review using that audit calendar to come once a year, once a year, to come and write the report and then tick the boxes and get the good whatever and things are going on? Or should I become an integral part of what, how to make sure that I deal with the issue upfront? I was at a popular hospital not long ago to do a checkup. And I noticed that the director of the hospital was the one at the emergency. And I looked at her and I smiled. I said, why are you smiling? I said, I was happy because that's actually, when in those days, directors or owners of hospital will sit so that they will pretend PAs to say, Oga is not around, it's busy. So now Oga has been located to know fully well that the emergencies are happening at the emergency room and at the front of his front. Auditors need to move. They need to change address. You need to move from your office. You need to move address. Move from back and start finding out what is happening. Because by the time it comes to you, the damage has already been done. You can't do undertaker job. You can't. Undertaker job is not something that people are very happy to do. It's just something that needs to be done. people are now moving into how do I stop the debt from happening. And that's the kind of challenge I'm going to be putting forward to this point. And I'm saying that because I understand, because I also grew up that kind of thing. But I know things have been changing. But we just need to make it to be faster. There needs to be a digital approach and mindset. I want to be able to come to see more vibrant, younger across all the banking industries as it's way. And that's the kind of thing that we do. In one of my past lives, one of my friends is there, knows we have worked there before. They said sometimes experience is a bad teacher. Everybody's quiet. Yes, sometimes over experience is a bad teacher. And I do get that with my driver. So when you want to do us, okay, use Google. Say, by this time, that place is always free. By this time, there's always this. Okay, I can do this job, but I go there, there's traffic. I said, what happened to this experience? I don't know what happened to them. That's why there's Google. You know, that's why there's Google. Google is there. You have data. You're telling me that by 3 p.m. on Sunday, this place is free. By this on the wall. And we get there, it wasn't free. I'm sure it has happened to some of you. So sometimes some experience you know technology can overtake. Please. When we did our account in those days, they don't allow us to use calculator. They're young people now, you need to understand. You just put your hand like this. That's how we were doing account. Now, if I say 7.5 and 30, most people here can't. You need to look for a calculator. And the question is, why are you using when technology has already done that? So I'm asking the same question to Audit. Why are you doing something manually that technology has already solved the problem for you? Why doing that? So the tools and knowledge and skills of internal auditors must evolve with the evolving times. The tools used to carry out audits in knowledge, terms, technologies and applications options, uses of digital platform outlets, services, and the skills, comfort and basic computer applications and IT information technology, and audit software development of information systems. Audit skills, that's relearning, must rise to meet the changes in the industry. The volume and breadth of transactions reports, customer service requests, incident reports, regulatory filing and checks that need to be done on these terms cannot be done effectively with the usual tools and cannot be done effectively using usual processes. That was the point I made. Throughout the history of auditing, audit tools have had to be more advanced or at least at par with the tools used by process owners. As of today, there's no audit team that does not use the computer system and one or more software applications to carry out their audits. From the use of various spreadsheets, software applications to computer-assisted audits techniques, the SCATs, specifically designed auditing software, our current audit teams leverage existing technologies executing their roles. So our current audit teams generally are divided in one way or the other between business process auditors and IT and information systems auditors, and perhaps investigations of forensic teams, while information security, information technology auditors specialize in the audit of information technology or information system. The future demands that business process auditors, who are now dealing with more advanced and more technical business process, require more advanced and more technical IT and IS audit skills and bring increased value to their audit execution. We know from experience that the computer knowledge experts and experience of our audit teams has direct impact to their ability to optimize the use of technology available to them. Likewise, auditors, knowledge, expertise, and experience existing and advancing technology will help the direct impact to their ability to review and advise management on risks. So the digital reality, technological advancements in hardware and software applications have brought about automations that continuously reduce the need for human interference in processes and by default, human interference in auditing of such processes, especially where the applications are intelligent systems that learn and evolve based on their learnings, most commonly referred to as artificial intelligence. Let me also explain that the AI that we have, I usually see some fears or so, that will come when robots will build everything, when the machines will build everything. You go to some restaurants overseas, they apply some robot stuff that they will serve, bring your meal to your desk or so. And these things are very good. It's very nice because somebody needs to program it. Okay. So one day, one of the areas that we happened, so I told the guys that we came to us, after they done the program, I told them I don't like this. They said, no, the place is okay. They didn't know what I wanted. They said, let's move to another seat. We moved to another seat. The robot went to the old seat. I said, you see your life? Okay, because it will never get to a stage where machines will replace human beings. Let's not make a mistake about it. It will never get to a stage where machine will be completely eliminated. You see these human beings to use machines to fast track what they do. It's important, therefore, that auditors understand this very well. That there will still be a control, there will still be people that are dictating this, and you can't get to a stage where you say it was a system fault. Those days in our life or something, when something says, what happens? Say system error. What does that mean? It's a system glitch. It's a system glitch. You know when. Sometimes you feel like snapping something. So if I stand up, I will say that is violence in the office. So just that becomes another. Just listen. So what does that grammar mean? You just continue to do, and you just see the thing is confused because it's been programmed to do something in a particular manner. Okay. So this record, so we have algorithm that report on how often an item was clicked on, how long a page was open, and whether a transaction was completed on shopping sites, streaming sites, social media sites, etc. We can speak to our phones and other devices, and they respond to our inquiry, which is very good. So virtual reality systems are growing in the real world. Once mainly only focused on or used by gamers. Now we have the metaverse where can be created for people to live digital lives, where meetings can be held in virtual reality, simulated by people in different locations on the globe, each fully seated at a desk or in a boardroom at a presentation being made by a facilitator in a virtual office with attendants using avatars of their choosing. The question we usually ask, and I do that a lot of times, like when they kids all this kind of environments, and you hear comments, you see people staying in one part of maybe California or so, and they create an environment of in New York City that where and you see movies going on. if all this, you think somebody was or somewhere, something was actually acted in Uganda. Just creating Uganda in where you are, and the environment works. So, and that's the same thing that fraudsters also do. They create an environment that people can either log in or institutions get into those kind of environment. So you need to know whenever your people are doing any system upgrade, don't say it's an IT system. Be attentive. Don't say, okay, when they're doing audit session, there's nothing like audit session in system or upgrade. There's no section for audit. All the sections are for audit. All the sections are for internal control. You've got to be sure and you're part of that from beginning to end. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting and be depending on whatever anybody tells you. So when you look at the banking trends, Ascension's report on banking top 10 trends for 2022 provides a good summary of all the aforementioned topics. Everyone wants to be a super app. Super apps are dominating all aspects of the digital world. Innovation makes a comeback to keep up fintechs and other competitors' banks. So why not? The digital brain gets a caring heart. Banks are looking for ways to have meaningful conversations with customers in digital spaces. Technology like AI can help make the human connection. Digital currencies head for college, with cryptocurrencies here to stay. Experiments like CBDC are gathering momentum. The search is on for use cases that prove the economic benefit. So smart operations put zero in their sights. Artificial intelligence and machine learning in banking now surpass humans in some tasks. Applying with tech will bring zero waste operations within reach. Payment anywhere, anytime. And for now, anyhow. The next payment evolution will stem from open network, which empowers banks to reimagine their payment offerings for newly demanding customers. Some of you will remember those things, but when central banks of people, especially in Africa, will say, no, you cannot take your data center outside of the shores. So you need to have data center and you just today you don't even know where things are. There was someone that said, "Oh, something is in cloud." I called the guy. I said, "Where's the cloud?" He said, somewhere. I said, "So how do you know it is there?" Because again, the reason I'm doing this too is that so you get used to it. So that when you hear something, so when they say they just need the network. So because you don't want to sound like you don't know, it is in the futures, it's an NTM, but there's a way